welcome to the Caitlin Francis podcast. This is the inaugural episode of this podcast. I have felt for a while that it might be time to start something. So I have no idea where this is going to go, and I thank you for joining me in any capacity that you are. I'm going to talk today about homeschooling 101 from the Caitlin Francis model, which is basically just the way that I do homeschooling for my 4 kids. I've homeschooled for 8 years now, since my youngest was in kindergarten. The cool thing about our homeschool life is that I'm actually a second generation homeschooler, as is my husband. Both our sets of parents decided against a lot more cultural pressure than there is now, and familial pressure and all that fun stuff to homeschool in the 90s and early 2000s. So we both graduated from high school via our parents. We both went to college, got college degrees. If that's your mark of success, then check mark there. And so I talk a lot about homeschooling on my ex, and I got a lot of questions about like how I homeschool, where to start. And so I thought today I would just take you along on hopefully a brief 5 point um, explanation of homeschooling from my point of view. And so please feel free to leave comments below. Let me know if I can answer any questions for you. I will put all the things I talk about, I'll put the links to in the comments. So, or in the description. So you don't have to worry about like trying to track things down or take notes. I'm going to set it all up in the description for you so that you can find the things I'm talking about if you are interested in them. So first things first, number one thing you got to do if you're thinking about homeschooling, if you have your kids in private or public school currently, or you're thinking about homeschooling as a lifestyle, first thing you want to do is you're going to want to go to hslda.org. HSLDA has been around since I was young. I think it started back in the early 90s, maybe late 80s. And it is the number one legal protection group for homeschoolers. So on your homeschool on hslda.org, you're going to find tons of answers to questions. It's going to give you state specific laws and guidelines for homeschooling in whatever state you're in. So if you have any questions, you're going to want to start there just to like get your feet wet with all the different things. Every state is very different. I live in California, and interestingly, we have one of the easier states to homeschool in. There's multiple options for us here. Every state, however, has at least one, if not multiple options for legal homeschooling. And HSLDA does extensive work for legal protection for that, and also for lobbying in the state legislatures and in the United States Congress for protection of homeschoolers. So if you can, check out hslda.org. I'm a member. We've been members forever. It's like $150 a year or something. And the cool thing about them too is if you privately homeschool, HSLDA will help you with any legal questions you have any time of the day or night. You can call them literally anytime, email them anytime. And if you have an emergency legal situation, you will have lawyers basically on tap for you. So hslda.org, number one thing you're going to want to do when you start considering homeschooling. Check that out. Okay, so the number two thing I was going to tell you to do was to, after you've decided you're going to homeschool, is I want you to make a plan to homeschool. But I think before you even do that, you should sit with your spouse and you should determine not just what your education philosophy is going to be or like your educational plan, but I also want you to think about how it's going to affect your lifestyle. So homeschooling is amazing. I love the lifestyle it affords us. My kids can sleep in if they need to. If we're sick, we just do school on the couch, or we don't do any school at all. We don't have to worry about missing days. If my husband has random days off, or we're able to take a vacation, he can take vacation time in, I don't know, mid-October, and we can go somewhere without the crowds when it's cheaper. We get to go to all sorts of museums and zoos and things like that when it's like the middle of the week, so there's not a lot of people there. We get to have better family relationships. My kids love each other. They range in age from 12 to 4 currently, and they're just all obsessed with each other. We spend so much time together. They love it. They have, we get to learn how to cook. We get to learn how to clean. We get to learn how to do all the family lifestyle, home management things, while we're also doing our school. And so, just sit with your spouse and think about how it could change your lifestyle for the better. Maybe be honest and think about how it might change your lifestyle for the worst. Do a pro con list, decide what you guys want to do and what your big why for homeschooling is. Why do you want to homeschool? Do you want the educational benefits? Do you want the time benefits, the relationship benefits? What is it that you want for your family that homeschooling can give you? A lot of homeschoolers homeschool for various reasons. We do it for religion, we do it for family ties, we do it for education, we do it for lifestyle. There is all sorts of ways you can do it. You can do it with two incomes, you can do it with one income, you can do it with untraditional work schedules. A lot of people I know in LA work for the studios. And so a lot of people choose to homeschool because then when their spouses have time off, they can all have time off together. A lot of people I know work in the medical industry. Their spouses work weird hours during the weekends and then they have random times off during the week. There's a whole bunch of different reasons to do that. I have friends that work too, where the husband and the wife work. That's something that you guys can totally pull off. Don't think that because you need two incomes that you can't homeschool because there's something for everyone in the homeschool world. The other thing you want to do after that, after you've figured out your big why do we want to homeschool? How does this look for our family? You can just maybe make a family mission statement. We don't personally have a mission statement like written down because both my husband and I were homeschooled. So it was kind of like we just went ahead and did it anyway. Like we just knew that was the lifestyle that we wanted. So we didn't actually have to think that through. But somebody on X the other day was like, oh, it's so great when you homeschoolers talk about how great your life is, but like, can I have some specifics, please? And that's totally fair. Like we should give some specifics. So think about how homeschooling is going to affect your family life and what you think you want from homeschooling, and then go ahead and do some research and see if you can actually get that. Okay. Some of the things that I love about homeschooling are I get time with my kids. I get to be the one that teaches them about important things in life. We get to run our house together. We get to sleep a lot. Sleep is super important for kids. And the current way that the school system is set up just leads to absolutely overtired and stressed kids, and overtired and stressed adults. When I need to sleep, we sleep. When everybody needs to get up, we get up. It's just a whole different, you have to break yourself out of the mindset, especially if you were raised in a public school, private school system. You got to break yourself out of the mindset that you have to follow a schedule according to somebody else. You get to choose your own schedule. And that's one of the number one things about homeschooling that I love. So I love choosing my own schedule. I love being with my kids. I love being able to teach them life skills as well as educational skills. And I love being able to give them the sleep that they need as they grow. Number two, well, this is still in category number two. So pick your why, pick your mission statement maybe as a family, if you want a mission statement as a family. And then you're going to start with your educational why. So there is a great book, and I'll talk about this multiple times. This is called Plan Your Year, and I will put it in the description so you can get the link. I think it's just from Amazon. It's maybe $15. It's like really not that much. She has a great layout of how you can plan your family's educational philosophy and what you want out of your children's education. Okay, so also in this book, she gives you multiple different types of homeschooling. So obviously you hear homeschooling and you might think, I don't even know where to start. Like, what are my options? So there's multiple different ways that you can homeschool. And by homeschool, I mean the actual now nitty gritty of we need a book now. How do we learn math? So there's a bunch of different ways to do this. You can do it from a box. You can literally order a curriculum from all over the internet that comes in an entire box. You can get kindergarten in a box, and you open it up and you read the teacher guide, and everything is in there for your kindergarten, for your first grade, for your second grade year. So if you're somebody that needs specific direction to get yourself started, an in a box curriculum might be the way to go for you. The other thing, people throw this around a lot. There's a Charlotte Mason method of homeschooling. There's the classical conversations method of homeschooling that I'm not super familiar with, but I know that a lot of times it's like a co-op based thing, like a paid co-op based thing. So if that's something that you're interested in, you're going to need to Google that because I don't know anything about it, but that is a way that a lot of people homeschool and they love it. There's a lot of things now. There's a lot of private school hybrid type things going on. There's multiple private schools in my city and they do have like homeschool hybrid programs. So if if it's possible monetarily for you, you might want to look into doing like a hybrid thing where they go to class a couple days a week and then you have them home the other few days. That's worked for friends that I have. So that's an option. Interestingly, if you go to Turning Point ED, Turning Point Education, they are currently and have been for the last few years working with multiple places across the country to start sort of hybrid homeschools. So if that's something of interest to you, you could check out turningpointed.com. They have a bunch of information on there about their sort of hybrid schools. Those sound really interesting, as far as they're basically hybrid homeschool private schools. California has what we call state charter school homeschools. And I think these exist in other states as well. So you'd have to check out your state. Again, hslda.org will help you with that. But charter homeschools are essentially, you are registered with the state and you have a teacher that checks in with you. And they give you money to use for your curriculum and for your extracurriculars. Now, of course, it's state money. So you've got a lot of, there's a lot of strings attached to that money. Currently in California, they're trying to dismantle those homeschool charter schools, but that's neither here nor there. That is an option for you. A lot of people I know started those in 2020, are still in them, but are ready to peace out as soon as the government is like too intrusive on their lives. But that's a really good way to get started. If you really have no idea what to do, they'll connect you with a teacher. They'll connect you with somebody that will help you figure out your curriculum. And they'll give you some money if you're in the state of California. I also know that places like maybe Arizona and Florida, will just give you money. I don't know if there's strings attached to that though. So you should check that out if you're in Arizona or Florida. But those are the different ways of doing it. There's also something called unschooling that floats around a lot if you're familiar with any homeschool content. Unschooling literally just means that you kind of do things as they come up. I, over the years, have become a lot more unschooly than I thought that I would be. But essentially, you're just going to be, if you read about something and your kids are interested in it, then you go read about some more of it. Some people literally use that as they do it all the time. So I would not suggest that. I would find some curriculum that you can use. But then once you get the curriculum and your kids are interested in stuff, then go grab it and find out about it. That's what unschooling means to me. You could find all kinds of videos about it on YouTube, I am sure. Number 3 in my list of 5 things that you should consider as you're getting ready to possibly homeschool. I was just going to talk about books. So plan your year. I already talked about this one. I'll put it in the comments or in the description. You're going to want to get this. This is super helpful. It will take you through the different education philosophies. It'll take you through making a mission statement. It'll take you through literally picking your curriculum. I would grab that and read it all the way through, even if you think you don't need it. I read it maybe 4 years after I started homeschooling, and I thought I knew everything because I was homeschooled before. But no, it was super helpful, and it helped me narrow down exactly why and what I was trying to teach. The next thing that I want you to go find are these adorable little books. So these were written in the 70s. My education philosophy is basically 70s. Everything I use is from the 70s. They are by Ruth Beechick. And sometimes you can find them on Amazon. A lot of people find them on eBay. They are these little tiny, amazing books. And essentially, they talk about what you need to be doing and what you need to be teaching for the first 3 years, K through 3rd. They are super helpful. A home start in reading, a strong start in language, an easy start in arithmetic. And it just walks you through. If you're overwhelmed and you're like, oh my gosh, there's no way I could possibly teach my kid anything, these are going to help you with that. They will just remind you of the basics of everything. And some people actually use these as a curriculum. I didn't ever do that, but to read them through was so helpful. And then she has a bigger book, which I didn't grab, but it will basically tell you how to do it 4th grade and up, I think. But it's basically like these are the standards and this is what your kid should be doing. So I read them at the beginning of every year just to remind myself what I'm doing and what's important for them to be grasping as concepts. Okay. Couple more books. This is called The Brave Learner. I really enjoyed this one. She's a little bit regular school / unschool. So that was really interesting. I have not read this one, but I know that it's a really good one that I know a ton of people who've read it that really like it. Rethinking School rather. Because another thing that you're going to run into as a person that wants to start homeschooling, you're going to try to recreate a classroom at home. And that's not what homeschooling is. That's not what you're going to want to do. You're going to burn yourself out. This book is my mother's from the 80s, 90s. I have not read this, but I do know that it is a great intro to the Charlotte Mason method if you're interested in that. There's a lot of people that talk about Charlotte Mason online. I do hybrid Charlotte Mason in a sense because she talks a lot about being outside, no pressure, and having a lot of books, 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 books. And that's what I use. But there's an actual method you can use to homeschool. I don't really follow that method, but if you're interested, this little book, I'm sure you can find it on Amazon. I'll put a link to it in the bottom. Okay, now the fun part. Number 4. I will read you my mission statement for how I choose curriculum. Okay, so this is basically what I want overall for my kids to learn. I talked about what my sort of like educational philosophy was and why I wanted to homeschool. And this is how we homeschool. Okay. So we focus on the key skills, reading, writing, and math, and we strive to become fluent in those skills. Obviously, those are the 3 big ones. You want to be reading, writing, and math all day, every day. Not all day, every day. It doesn't have to take all day. I just mean like you want to be doing those for sure. To do so, to become fluent in those skills, we definitely do the reading, writing, and math, but we also explore history, science, music, literature, and anything else that catches our attention. So that's where the unschooling part of my homeschool comes in. In order to do this, we do some solid curriculum for reading and writing and math. And then we do tons of good books and stories. I want you guys to be reading to your kids all the time. Find the good books. There's book lists all over the internet. Find the good books, the good stories. Anything written before the year 1995 is probably amazing. And anything after that is questionable. We want to do imaginative and creative play, crafts, activities, outside time. Another thing about homeschooling is that I love is my schedule. We do what we want when we want. We have a schedule as the kids have gotten older, but especially when the kids are younger, it's so much fun because you can spend so much time outside. You can spend so much time exploring. You can spend so much time doing the things that the kids want to do, and kids learn through play. So you should let your kids have a ton of playtime when they're young. Okay, so that's kind of my rubric for finding a curriculum then is like what is going to get us reading, writing, and math, and then what is going to allow us to enjoy history, science, art, and literature. So the first thing, let's see. First, I want to talk about kindergarten. Okay, but I don't have the kindergarten book because my sister-in-law is borrowing it. So what I love, this is a company called Christian Light Education. Okay. You don't have to be a Christian to use it, but it does have Christian themes. So be aware of that. I'm going to put the link to their website below because it is fan-freaking-tastic. So basically what they have is they have a whole kindergarten program. It's called Kindergarten 2. And so if you're brand new and you have no idea what to do, you order the Kindergarten 2 book, and then it comes with a bunch of little workbooks like this. This is the reading one, but it comes with kindergarten workbooks. And then the teacher book itself will literally, ladies or gentlemen, if you're a dad that wants to homeschool, it will literally tell you exactly what to get. It'll tell you what to do, and then it will literally give you a script. So if you are new and you just have no idea what to do, you will use the script that they give you. It shows you the page that they're on, answers, and then the script of literally what you have to say. And so I love doing that one for kindergarten because it pulls, it does letters, it does numbers, it does shapes, it does a little bit of math, it does a little bit of reading, it does all the handwriting. It's literally like kindergarten in a box. And then everything else is fun. So you get the kindergarten program, you go through the kindergarten program in a year, and then you guys go outside, you read a whole bunch of books, you watch really cute shows. It's amazing. Homeschooling kindergarten is wonderful. So if you are a brand new mom and you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this. Yes, you can. Kindergarten is easy. Reach out in the comment section with questions if I can help clarify anything. But look into Christian Light Publishing for their kindergarten curriculum. It's fantastic. Moving from kindergarten on into reading. So this is the reading curriculum that I like to use. You have multiple options for learning to read and for language arts, but so far I have used the Christian Light reading and language arts, and it's been amazing. I'll put a couple links down here for other things I don't have the books for. One that's really popular is How to Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. A friend that I had on X who sadly had to get off because people are horrible, but whom I miss daily. Her name is Hannah. She has her own curriculum. It's called How to Teach Your Child to Read in 120 Lessons, and she's really focused on phonics, and I really love that about her. I have used both the old school 100 Easy Lessons and the Learning to Read curriculum from Christian Light Publishing, and I've liked both of them. The thing about the Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons is that it doesn't have language arts connected to it. And the Christian Light Publishing for first grade, you start with the reading books, and then halfway through, you also start with the language arts books. And that will give you a base in phonics and writing and grammar and all that fun stuff that accompanies language arts. So if you have a first grader that needs to learn how to read, and by the way, most children do not learn to read until first grade. So don't let the naysayers on the internet tell you otherwise. Children all learn to read around 8. Now there's exceptions to both on both sides of that. And we could go into that in my Why Have I Gone Viral Again X section another time. But anyway, reading and language arts together I've found are wonderful. And again, Christian Light Publishing. I'll show you a little bit of the inside of these books. They are so basic. You guys do not need a crazy curriculum. Basic workbooks. Very good stuff. If you want to spend all your time doing all sorts of crazy, fancy, colorful curriculums, that's fine. But I find that to be a waste of time and a waste of money. Christian Light Publishing is also ridiculously cheap. So please look into that for actually any of your subject needs. The next thing I was going to talk about is math. I homeschool from the 70s. So this is called Miquon Math. This is the teacher guide, I think. Lab sheet annotations. I think there's actually another book that's the actual teacher guide. This teaches math for basically 1st through 4th grade. It can be through 5th grade. Another thing about homeschooling is that it really doesn't matter what grade you're in, as long as your child is learning and progressing. Then you're good. You're good to go. That's what homeschooling is for. It's private tutoring it's private tutoring for where your child is. So don't let numbers and 1st grade, 2nd grade, whatever, worry you. Find out where your child is. Teach them at that level. As long as they're progressing and you're both doing well, then you guys are doing a good job. Okay. That is not, I feel like I have to make a disclaimer. That's not a disclaimer to be lazy, but I think you guys understand what I mean. If your child is learning at a pace that is good for them and nobody is stressed and everybody's learning daily, then you guys are doing a good job. And that is what you should be doing for your child. You should be privately tutoring them at their level, wherever they are. Ignore the levels in the books. All that to say, Miquon is not an open and go curriculum. It is not an easy thing to teach. My mom used it in the 90s. And if you're a math teacher, then that's great. And this math book this teacher guide will help you, but it's not an open and go. So if you're curious about it, you could email me and I will give you even more details. Because I love it and it prepares the kids great for Saxon, which is what I use when they get older. But there's a lot of other math curriculums out there. Christian Light Publishing has a math curriculum as well. I have a lot of friends who use the Good and the Beautiful for math. There's also Math UC and Singapore Math. And then Saxon Math does have like lower elementary math as well. But I just wanted you to know that I do use Miquon Math. It is very fun. I enjoy it. But I enjoy math and I enjoy teaching math. So if you're not good at math or you don't feel like you can teach it well, I would maybe find a better curriculum that's more of an open and go and like a teacher guide. There's also tons of video math programs as well. So you need to, do what you can to decide what you want to do with that. Okay. The rest of the subjects, we've got, our good old ones: history, science, math, art, geography, Bible, if you're doing religious education, or even if you're not, because the Bible is important to Western civilization. Those kinds of things you can start working through later. Anyone who tells you that your first grader has to be doing math, science, reading, writing, math, and history, and science, and geography, and blah, blah, blah every day, you do not need to be doing that. That is too much. We need to start with the basics, and then you add things as you have the capacity. Math, science, history, and geography, which actually can all be intertwined, which I love. Those are important. Maybe 7th grade and up is when you start doing like the studying of those. But early elementary, even later elementary, a lot of it can be, it doesn't have to be every day. It's like once or twice a week. You can even look up public schools and the way they teach those. And in the elementary grades, it's not an everyday occurrence. So I would encourage you to find some history. We love Beautiful Feet history guides. Please hear the word guides in there. Beautiful Feet is full of stuff to the point where people get super overwhelmed. You can do a quarter of it and you're good. Beautiful Feet is one of those things that is super helpful at guiding you to all sorts of different things, but you don't have to do every single thing in there. So don't feel like you have to do that. If you want to reach out for more specific things that I use for history, science, music, art, etc., or maybe I'll do another video another time with like my more in-depth kind of stuff. But this was just supposed to be homeschooling 101. So that's why we did reading, math, language arts. And then in the reading and the math, or in the reading and the language arts, you get the writing, you get the handwriting, you get all that fun stuff. Okay. Okay, I think we're on 5. We might be on 4. I honestly don't know. My notes got all weird. The last thing I wanted to encourage you to do is to find a co-op or a support system if you decide to homeschool. This can be as simple as one other friend who homeschools. You don't have to get crazy here. If there are co-ops, there's tons of homeschool groups now across the country. I think Facebook has stuff that you can like maybe look up homeschooling in your area. I'm not on Facebook, so it's a wild west for me. I have no idea what goes on over there, but I have heard that there is homeschool co-op groups. So either find a person that's going to homeschool, find a person that homeschooled, ask them questions. Ex-homeschooler, well, not all ex-homeschoolers. I loved homeschooling and I loved being homeschooled. So I love to talk about it. So not everybody does, but find somebody who likes to talk about it and or who has done it and would be helpful to you. Find a friend that's doing it. Reach out to a local Facebook group. You might have to just you might just have to go to a park and just meet people. I had to, I did not start my own co-op, but a friend of mine who homeschooled started a small co-op and she pulled people in. And then after she moved, me and some of the moms that were still there, like kept it going. And now it's this big group. I'll make another video about that sometime if anybody's interested in like knowing the ins and outs of starting and running a co-op. But it's important to find your support system. So even as a young mom, I say, you got to find your support system. Sometimes you just got to walk into a room full of people you don't know and just say, hey, I'm here. I want to homeschool. Can somebody help me? And hopefully somebody will. And if not, reach out to me and I will help you because I genuinely love doing this. So hopefully that all made sense to you guys. If you have any further questions, please leave me a comment. You can get in touch with me on X. I'm Mrs. C.M. Francis. Over there, you could DM me if you have any questions. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I hope I've encouraged you, even ever so slightly, to consider homeschooling because it's the best.